Hello everyone, welcome to our June podcast from us here at Pass the Controller. We hope you guys are doing well and you're not suffering from any bad bouts of E3 blues at all. We have James Parry here.
Good evening.
We have Chris.
Howdo.
And we're joined by Rob.
Cooey.
Liam could possibly be joining us a bit later, so hopefully he'll be able to...
He's our mystery guest.
He's our mystery guest, yes, even though he's not really mystery because we know who he is, but I don't know.
You spoiled it.
I spoiled it, I know.
Do we really know who he is? That's the big question.
Exactly, yeah. Do we really know the real Liam Andrews? Do we really know him? Anyway, today's podcast we're going to be discussing the events and the announcements from this year's E3, as well as share some of our thoughts on the conference as a whole. Starting with, of course, no other than Project Scorpio. And we have a name. So, Xbox One X. I kind of like it. I'm kind of digging the name, personally. But more importantly, what do you guys think about the name?
Specifically, the name is all right. I mean, the biggest thing for me, and I said on the same on the night, but the biggest issue for me is a little old lady going to buy a Christmas present for their nephew or something, walking into game and being like, "Excuse me,
and then it be mistaken for an S.
One X, please." and they were like, "Do you want the S or the X?" and you're like, and they're like, "Oh, I'm not sure which one that you want." And she's like, "Oh, I don't know. Which one's cheaper?" And then it could lead to a few disappointed Christmas mornings, which is my first thought, selfless being that I am. But generally, in terms of the brand consistency and everything, it sounds the part. I mean, they've been talking about the Xbox One family for a while. Makes sense to tie it into the brand, and obviously the general the lettering style that they've been using with Scorpio already does kind of work. With that logo. It's quite a subtle little flourish on there, but it's nice. But in terms of the console itself, I mean, largely it's much what we've already discussed at length, really, in terms of it very much seems to be living up to the promises that have been made. So we'll have to wait and see what the reality is.
I agree with James. They probably should have picked another consonant, shouldn't they? Or a different vowel, because it is going to be easy to get those mixed up. I mean, it's great that they finally made one that isn't the size of a suitcase. That's pretty cool.
They've downgraded it. It's progress.
Yeah, I mean, I just think everything else is going to be... Surely this is going to be for quite a niche market, isn't it? If we're being honest, it's going to be for people that have got 4K TVs, and probably a lot of them who have already got stuff like that will probably have a high-end like gaming rig anyway that they put through a 4K monitor. So I don't really see how they're going to sell many of them.
I was sort of expecting that price. Still a bit disappointing. The main thing I was hoping to hear something about was VR, where there was not a mention of it at all. I think that's the only thing that could really sort of persuade us to buy one at the minute. Not owning a 4K TV, I can't really see the point in upgrading just yet.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Because they've downplayed the VR side of it in the past year, pretty much since last year's E3, to be honest. They've really distanced themselves from all of that stuff, which is kind of interesting in a way. Makes you wonder what they've kind of got up their own sleeve. I know that Phil Spencer's been very vocal about, there is this middle ground, there is this premium quality, cordless, easy to use device that exists, whether that is HoloLens or whether that is, some other, specific hybrid piece of machinery that they're coming up with behind closed doors. We'll have to see, I suppose.
You just mentioned the price a second ago, so just for obviously the guys that are watching this that don't know the price, so it's retailing officially at £449, and it's going to be releasing on November the 7th. I think £449, I mean, personally, it feels like a suitable price. Obviously I said it beforehand, before E3 began. I think I even said it in the podcast as well, that if they did go above the 499 mark, I would have been pretty annoyed about it. But yeah, I just want to bring that up a little bit. What do you guys think about the price?
It's a real mental thing, I think, isn't it? It's a mental barrier, that £500 mark. Stuff sounds a lot more expensive as soon as you get over that, because of just the way money works, I suppose. I guess the price thing is, thing about it is whether, you know, Microsoft are wanting to really put their hat in the ring, really compete in terms of unit sales, because realistically they know in terms of the standard PS4 and Xbox One, they've lost that fight and they've lost that race in terms of if they wanted to make it a race, you know. So I don't think anyone's, you know, expecting that to turn the tide realistically at this stage. But if they wanted to go up against the Pro, then that might have been a target that was worthwhile. But they didn't price it aggressively, and it sends a message to me, certainly, in terms of the sheer economics of it.
I think they've reached a happy medium with it, particularly. I mean, it was around, like, I mean, I predicted $399, and I know that Sam, I think, predicted, was it $499? I think Sam predicted. Any other opinions about the price? Do you think they've hit that on the head?
I suppose it will remain to be seen. I think the one interesting thing it does raise is, are we just going to see updates now on consoles instead of actual generation cycles?
Fair enough. Well, I mean, it's a powerful machine.
Sony have said that they're fairly married to the whole, you know, largely speaking, to the traditional release cycle, I suppose. But I think Microsoft are being a lot more fluid with it. So I think we'll probably see those two approaches diverge a bit as we go through. But a lot of it depends on how well I keep saying Scorpio, Xbox One X really does when it actually launches, because that's a key release window, the holiday 2017 release time. I mean, they've got some they've got some games to back that up. I mean, maybe we should touch on what they've got on the day one slate. I don't know if you've got a list there, Gabriella.
Yeah, I've just picked out some of the main things. I mean, we've got 22 exclusives here. Two of which that stood out for me personally were Rob, Crackdown 3. As soon as I heard it, I was like, Rob, we were right, they did announce it. And then you've got Metro, which looks amazing. I know that Sam was going on about it a bit during the live stream. But those were the two that specifically stood out for me as solid exclusives. I mean, they've got a lot of sort of nice indie games thrown in there. They've got Ori, which looks really interesting. I love like colourful platformer games, so that for me is a winner. But is there anything that stood out for you from the exclusive standpoint? Because I mean, they did also lead with Anthem as well towards the end, which, as we know, is not going to be an exclusive. So I thought that was kind of a little bit of a cheeky move. I'd be very
surprised if EA did any sort of exclusivity more than just DLC related stuff. I mean, they're pretty in bed with PlayStation on the other side in terms of the Battlefront side of things, and obviously it's a different developer, different publisher within them, so to speak, but they're the same business after all. They're hedging their bets.
You know why I question it? It's because of Rise of the Tomb Raider. I grew up with Tomb Raider, so for it to be a timed exclusive on Xbox, I was sort of just a bit thrown back by it. I really hope they don't do timed exclusives, because that to me personally as a gamer just aggravates me slightly. But also from a marketing perspective, I understand that it's to do with sales and boosting sales and stuff. So there's that to consider.
I think that they're
Anthem
more
is-
likely.
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. I mean, they're more likely to do kind of. I guess. Well, particularly for EA's point of view, like pre-order, bonus, DLC, whatever, that sort of side of the spectrum than exclusivity, I think. But what were you going to say, Liam?
What kind of
Liam's here, everyone.
genre
Sorry,
was
Liam.
Anthem?
Hi,
Yeah,
Liam.
I am. Hello. I snuck in through the side door. From what I heard, it's going to be kind of like a Destiny, the Division kind of thing with like sort of a light MMO. Am I right in thinking that? I missed a lot of the reveal for that, so I didn't see
Presumably,
it.
it's marketed with sort of like open environments, and obviously you got the exosuits. You're able to like traverse the environments and stuff. So there's that, but it looks awesome. I'm really excited for Anthem.
The reveal video that they showed, apart from having some cringeworthy fake banter, which is so irritating, was well, it's normally Ubisoft. So it was a surprise bit, yeah, in a way. But the biggest thing for me that was interesting about that reveal was again, obviously, it's not a natural gameplay demo. Clearly, a lot of it's scripted to an extent, at the very least. But you know, when you saw the protagonist just kind of shooting off, you know, in a general direction towards the horizon, and then suddenly flying down into the water, and then like, you know, new area discovered and all this sort of stuff, you're like, that's pretty cool. You know, that's that sort of freedom.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's just going to be that one world, or and there'll be a lot of denseness to that.
Yeah.
We don't know a lot at this point, but there's been a lot of emphasis on the, you know, the loot side of it, even in the reveal, and I think that's probably where it'll feel closest to Destiny in terms of that. I think it might surprise us in terms of the rest of it, how different it feels, because obviously third person's quite a different feel to first person fundamentally.
And also it's a BioWare game, so I'm hoping for some good story driven narrative, but that's yet to be seen, but we'll see. Chris and Rob, what are your thoughts on Anthem or the exclusives of the Microsoft conference?
There was a couple I was interested in. State of Decay 2, I've been pretty much following since the first one. I'm looking forward to that. Crackdown 3 featuring Terry Crews was obviously a massive highlight. I think that's it. That was the main ones for me. Anthem kind of looked like what maybe Andromeda should have been. But we'll see what happens with that.
Anthem looks pretty, which I guess is the whole point of buying the new Xbox. It didn't really look like it was anything new, like, to me, honestly. So I wasn't that impressed. Crackdown 3, it's nice to see that it's coming out, but it didn't look like great cell shading. You know, it looks like there's not a lot there.
That was probably my biggest disappointment, I would say. I mean, in terms of the game as a whole, in that I pre-ordered that game like April 2015, I think it is. So it's literally on my Amazon thing. I keep on getting emails with updates and stuff like that. You know, when the price is probably something insanely low now, because obviously it will have changed to a new platform and stuff like that. Anyway, so that's probably the biggest thing that I've been looking forward to in terms of specific exclusive content from Xbox. And I think the fact that they clarified afterwards about how the destruction is very much a multiplayer thing, and that makes a lot of sense when you think about the technology and how it works and stuff like that. But the fact that they had to clarify that at all means that they failed in what they were trying to reveal. You know what I mean? If it wasn't clear from what they were doing there, no, not everyone has been following the game as long as I have been. So the people who haven't, it's just going to pass them by amid, sandwiched in between 2 or 3 other, high profile trailers in a row, sort of. So that was disappointing. But on the other hand, I think, picking this point, State of Decay 2 actually really interested me. But although again, the actual reveal at the conference didn't kind of knock me back. But what I heard about the game after the fact was actually a lot more interesting. So they were saying how there's like 1,000 different character attributes. So things like someone used to be a stuntman as their job, or someone's a heavy snorer or something like that. And all of these different characteristics interplay with each other within the game, and there's a lot of different unique combinations of people. And equally, there's permadeath of the characters. So if you lose someone who's got a really good combination of skills, they're gone. You've got to rebuild from that. And I think it's going to be quite an interesting concept as a result.
So overall, do you think that obviously we discussed this in May's podcast, do you think Microsoft have delivered on the hard-hitting exclusives that they needed, or do you think they've sort of wavered?
Wavered for me. I think they needed one really big, massive hit. Like, look what we've made. But even if it was, I don't know, it's way too soon for something like Gears 5. But I think they needed something bigger than Crackdown 3. I suppose they chucked Forza 7 up, didn't they? But that, again, how many people are into hard, like, racing sims? I don't know.
Metro looks amazing, and I think it's gonna utilize and lean on the capabilities of the Xbox X, graphics wise. But there's just no narrative driven games, and
there was no Halo announcements, was there? I mean, like I said, I missed most of what happened, but there was rumors of something that something was teased that was going to be shown, not a numbered Halo, but
I think that, well, it's clear that Halo 6 is on the way, because obviously we've already had that tease from last year anyway. But the fact that they didn't bring it is a really interesting decision. I mean, to be honest, for me, it wouldn't have swayed me either way, because I think Halo, as much as I have had a lot of fun with the series over the years, a lot of fun, I can really take it or leave it in terms of the actual game, just because there's so many other FPSs out there that are in many ways better or more unique or more interesting. I think it's just because since Bungie have moved on and started to do something not necessarily that different in terms of the feel of the game, but it is a different type of game with Destiny. You can look back at what Halo is now, and I'm sure 343 are working very, very hard, but it's difficult to say that they've really pushed the whole franchise forwards that much. But I think even if they had brought that along, for the Robs of the world who are waiting there for this golden bullet, I don't think it would have been that for them either, really. So they may as well have not wasted their ammo, so to speak. I agree in terms of the other exclusive that they have on their slate. Really, you say Gears is really the only thing that they've got that's a kind of quality AAA title, and that's 4's in full force still, so that there would be nowhere near 5 at this point.
I agree with that Halo it's out there. It's already wowed people. It's just another game now for some people. But I would have liked to have seen maybe some sort of spin-off, not a Halo 6 and Spartan Lock or something. Maybe something earlier from the history of the lore would have been quite cool. Something like an ODST, but at a different time. I really enjoyed that. That would have been something nice to see, I think.
Yeah, like a spin-off or just like a 10-hour segment or something. Just
well, the issue is that ingenuity came from Bungie, effectively, because that's the reason that the ODST became what it was, because they originally came up with it as a kind of add-on pack type thing, and then as they pulled on the thread of what they were doing, got the Firefly cast involved, etc., they were like, wow, this is actually pretty substantial, we'll release this as its own thing. And I think rarely is it that sort of thing happens and people aren't like, oh, that's just a cash grab. But actually, you know, like you say, I would agree. There's some moments in that game which are some of the most memorable in the series.
Has anybody got anything else to add, or anything else to add about the, or any thoughts about Microsoft in specifics?
I would have liked Sea of Thieves before Christmas. That'd be nice. Honestly, that I think that looks more fun than, to me anyway, than pretty much everything else they showed.
Yeah.
And Microsoft is kind of all about online multiplayer, isn't it? Really, I suppose, on the Xbox. And I don't know. Hopefully, Crackdown will be really fun. That'd be amazing since it's taken so long.
Yeah,
But just at the moment, Sea of Thieves looks a lot more entertaining. Just on
I think they've got a nice
videos.
handful of sort of community-driven games that I look forward to. Crackdown, again, like I agree, Rob, is one of them. And more for like the single-player experience, probably Metro. I know I keep...
Metro definitely looked nice, to be fair. But I mean, have you played any of the others in the series? They're kind of a bit.
I've played bits of bits on the 360, but yeah, I think Sam's one of the resident experts of Metro. It's a shame he couldn't be here tonight actually to talk about it, because I knew he was quite excited about it.
That's a game I could only play in short bursts because it got very depressing. It's just so bleak, so like devoid of hope for any of the people involved. So
I don't know whether it's a reboot of such. It looks like I'm not sure what the narrative is, but
so from what I picked up, I didn't play the original games either, but it's set a little bit of time after. It's still the same protagonist and set slightly after the previous game, and the reason that he's now up on the surface is because he's further outside of Moscow and the really highly irradiated areas, so that's why he can start to explore the surface area and stuff like that. But obviously there's still some.
They are very atmospheric games, so I'm quite interested. I need to go, but it reminded me that I need to go back and finish because they're kind of more like the kind of horror that I can handle, whereas I can shoot things in the face at the same time and feel safe. But yeah, I need to go back and finish them.
So all of that said that we've just discussed, the price, the exclusives, the actual console itself, is it enough to win you guys over? Will you be purchasing Xbox X?
I could easily live without it, but it's just the fact that they're coming out and saying this is for the elite, like for people who are really the hardcore into it. It's making me want to get one. It's making me feel inadequate that my plain old average Xbox One just isn't good enough anymore. So that's a clever marketing tactic, and it's working. Yeah, because I've got the elite controller, and now they're saying, well, you might as well have the elite box as well. So that's probably going to work on me.
Chris, will you be purchasing the Xbox X?
Well, I've noticed my controller's a bit dodgy, and I've been thinking if I'm going to buy a controller, I might as well get the console to go with it, or else it's just a waste,
Spend
really.
£450.
Might as well get
Go all out
KTV as well at that point.
I hadn't considered this as a way in. I mean, clearly it's an effective marketing tool because two of you have just said it, but yeah, I hadn't thought about being sucked into the abyss by a controller. But it is a nice looking controller.
If they had upgraded the controller a little bit, not in the button functions, but just something to make it a bit more special with the Xbox One X, that would have been very cool. And I think that would have got a lot more people involved. Just for the sake of an exclusive controller, because people go mad for those things.
Yeah. I love the idea of the design lab.
Exclusively liquid cooled.
Well, rest assured, there will be plenty of custom controllers and custom builds of the
to burn a hole in your wallet.
Bundles of the One X. They'll be coming for sure. There'll be a Halo one, etc. Maybe even a Crackdown one. Because if you look at the construct your own controller thing, which is now available in the UK, you can get not thumb grips, like finger anti-slip grips on the back of your controller, which is similar to the Pro, just on a normal custom controller. So you don't have to pay like 120 quid. You could pay 70 quid, which I think is pretty nice. So I'm probably going to get into that because these controllers they're fine. I've been enjoying them since the beginning of the Xbox One's life, but something to go alongside. Nice new controller, new console. Why not?
For the most part, I really hope Xbox X does very well. I think Microsoft have learned a lot as a company in regards to their sort of niche market and sort of in touch with their community and their player base. But yeah, I just hope it does really well.
I think it really just continues the trend of what Phil Spencer's been kind of driving for all the way through from when he joined as head of Xbox, to be honest. I mean, obviously he was in the company before, but since that time, you can tell that where his influence has come through in terms of some of the push for back compatibility and things like that. I mean, now that's not something exclusive to the One X, to be fair, but the fact that they announced original Xbox backwards compatibility, it's a gimmick, to be fair, in my opinion, in terms of how much do people actually use the backwards compatibility we've got now, let alone with even older titles, because there's so many things that have been re-released and stuff anyway. It's not as kind of difficult to get hold of old stuff as it once was, but nonetheless, to be able to have a single console and to be able to play most games across the entire history of Xbox is unprecedented. It has to be said. There's been plenty of times that Nintendo, for example, enjoy fleecing everyone for multiple purchases of the same game across virtual consoles and things like that. And frankly, I'm not surprised that they do that, because people keep spending money on. But they could leverage that and use it, but they've decided not to. Where an Xbox have taken, if you like, that initiative.
Yeah, I agree. I think Phil Spencer has had a huge influence on Microsoft for the better. So I hope he continues there for a couple more years, because he seems to be doing good things for them.
It's a nice way of them actually making the One name a bit relevant as well, because before it was meant to be the all singing, all dancing media package that you were using, and it sort of dropped off. But now it's just like the one console you need for all of the Xbox. You can play 360, you can play the original Xbox games. It's just they've made the name relevant again, really, for me.
Are you auditioning for a job?
I'll take one if they're offering. Yeah.
That was fantastic.
Well, make sure we tweet this at Phil Spencer.
Yeah, get recognised. Get Liam in the spotlight.
I'll bring back some scoops.
Cool. We'll move on to Sony, because I think we need to talk about them for a little bit. So overall, I feel like their conference was slightly underwhelming. Expectantly so. I was really hoping they'd pull something out of the bag, but it just sort of chugged on throughout. We got some really awesome updates on games that we already knew about. God of War. Annoying that we had no Death Stranding, but I know that Kojima mentioned that on his Twitter beforehand, so you can't say they didn't warn us. But I think it's really important for us to know that Sony are also competing with a console release this time, and as underwhelming as it felt, I think they sort of went into this conference knowing that it wasn't going to have the impact that Microsoft would have.
I saw some of the Spider-Man game, and that's got me interested. I like Spider-Man, so that's got me tempted. And the fact that it's exclusive, I'll probably pick up a PlayStation just for that. I mean, there's obviously other titles as well, but it's coming out next year. They'll be cheaper by then, I expect. I think that's it looks good from the video I saw. The trailer looks very fun, very very spectacular, over the top set pieces and things. Looks very cool.
Very reminiscent of Batman, but nonetheless, I would agree, definitely a draw.
Yeah, they've come out and said that that's the one that they reckon can push them to 100 million sales. Just getting people who aren't necessarily gamers in. It's such a big.
I mean,
brand,
the timing is great because of the film, obviously not coinciding with it, and to be honest, it's better that way because it always messes up when they're actually linked. But I mean, the brand awareness of Spider-Man is, again, it's high, and we know that he's going to be in Infinity War and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And, already it's a character that is so ubiquitous.
it gave me a bit of nostalgia actually playing it. I wish I could play it. Watching it sort of come together. I know it was like a 9-minute demo that they showed, but I remember playing I think it was the first Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2, and I just got big bouts of nostalgia, just sort of, like traversing the skylines and web slinging from building to building, and I just got all giddy with the feeling that, oh shit, we can do this again, like, because I love doing that as a kid.
It's just fun being Spider-Man. I don't even mind that it is basically ripping off Batman in the combat, because I don't think anyone else has found a better way to do that yet so far. So I'm happy for them just to borrow it and just use it, because it works pretty well in superhero kind of games.
I hope they work in a little bit more nuance into because I've always found Spider-Man to be quite kind of, you really see it when you watch Tom Holland playing the character, but because he is a dancer, but like he's really nimble in a real kind of dancing, flowing, majestic, well, not almost, but in a kind of that sort of a way, whereas Batman's a lot more kind of blunt and hard hitting, even though the fluid combat is obviously such a staple of the Arkham games. But I'm hoping to see a kind of nice, some nice signature moves, if you want to put it that way, from Spider-Man, because like you say, Liam, it's fun being Spider-Man. It's a fun character.
Yeah. But there did look to be some cool ones that I saw. Some little like finishes he was doing on people with the webs and stuff. They looked pretty cool when he was pulling like big steel girders into people. That looked quite fun. So there's
the
definitely a Spider-Man feel.
I agree.
To it.
Yeah, it's definitely strong. I think they could go further. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. It's an older Spider-Man as well, or an older Peter Parker. They said slightly older than I think what's normally shown in I guess the films when he's at high school and things. He's not. He's I think he's maybe in his mid-20s, and so maybe they can go a different direction with the story as well. So that could be cool.
Chris and Rob, are you Spider-Man fans at all?
I think if they get the game right, it will be really good fun. I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan, but
you have a
like
PlayStation,
you,
don't you,
I do, and it's an exclusive, so I will probably pick it up. But I mean, yeah, if they get the whole traversal thing right, then it will be great fun.
I thought it looked good, but being a PS4 exclusive, I'll never get to play it, which is a shame. But that was one of the highlights of the Sony conference. I thought it was really fluid, just amazing graphics, and it's a lot of fun just swinging about the Spider-Man.
I like that they ended on Spider-Man, but I was really hoping for The Last of Us. I don't know, it just seems like the biggest gaming convention. We got to think the biggest gaming convention of the year to date.
The trouble is though, like you said, if they're playing against Xbox as a release show, which it was, although Microsoft have got away with effectively revealing Scorpio about 3 times is impressive. But if they were playing up against that, and if they want share of people's attention, why would they waste their potentially one of their strongest exclusives on a show which they know is only going to be middling to good at best? You compare this year to a couple of years ago and Shenmue and all of that stuff. It's a world apart, because they had the momentum more so then, and now they can bide their time. They can afford to bide their time, so there's no need for them to blow their load all in one go, so to speak.
They've also said they were going to make an appearance at probably one of the European events, didn't they? Because they said they haven't been there for a while. They've missed out the last few years. I think if there's European expos, and they said they'll be turning up at some point, maybe with something. Maybe I've misread that somewhere, but that's what I thought I read.
Hopefully, it will be nice. I know that Paris Games Week is quite a big game. They debuted Uncharted 4 last year, I think. They spent a lot of time. I think they brought Nolan North and Troy Baker over just to cover the launch, which was pretty cool. But yeah, hopefully they do something like that.
I would have liked to have seen some more interesting stuff, to be honest. I mean, we've already covered it. It was just it just felt a bit quiet, didn't it, really? Like they weren't
Spider-Man was the
expecting
best
anybody
for me.
to really be watching.
Poor lonely man.
We'll talk about EA and Ubisoft for a little bit. Beyond Good and Evil 2. Any of you fans of the original?
Never played it.
I'm not. I think I played about 10 minutes and I couldn't really get into it.
But
Well,
I've already
I
seen
mean,
people complaining, saying that it's nothing like the original. And what is this? It's a prequel.
Yeah,
And
it looks very
flaming in the
different.
comments.
Yep. It's all completely different, and you ruined my childhood and etc. I didn't play the first game either.
I felt angry for
I-
them. I was getting caught up in it. I was like, yeah, what is this? Why are we getting a prequel having never played the original?
But, I mean, the thing is, though, it's after so much time, it doesn't really matter to, apart from those people who are the fans. That I get that, but in terms of the general gaming population, we're a lot of us here. We're fairly heavy on the gaming scene. I think it's fair to say, and the fact that no one here has played the first one substantially or loves it or whatever.
It's the Beyond Good and Evil fans coming to get you.
Yeah, they're coming. I know, but if you compare it to something, you compare a game like that, which has a lot of buzz around it in terms of I've heard a lot about that game for years because it's been been waiting for years and years, but it's not like GoldenEye. It's not like some of these real classics that they're thinking, yeah, let's bring something back or whatever. It's a different game at the end of the day, and I think people need to effectively just make peace with that. I think Ubisoft, to be honest, had the most entertaining conference, even without Aisha Tyler, which I wasn't too thrilled about when I heard about it. But yeah, I think they did pretty well.
I think just judging by some of the audience's reaction and just reading some opinion pieces about it, there's a lot of excited people, a lot of excited fans from the Beyond Good and Evil universe. So I think that they're appeasing to them. So it's good that they're making a game for them. I mean, look, you only have to have a look at they ended on it. And just how they had all the crew come out and all the developers, and they were just sort of like breaking down in tears, and they were like, "We're just so passionate about this game." And I don't know, personally, again, I don't know too much about the Beyond Good and Evil universe that much. I played bits of the game, but not enough to get fully like invested in it. But to see that level of passion come through, I don't know, it just made me smile a bit, because you could tell that there was fans that really wanted it. It looked good. I mean,
it looked good. The trailer.
Oh yeah, great.
Maybe being the prequel could be perfect because, like you say, half of us haven't even played it. So maybe there's a lot of other people who are, oh, that looks cool. Because as a game, it looked interesting to me. So I might give it a shot. And it being a prequel, I don't even have to know anything about the previous game, so I can just go straight into it.
Hopefully, new players can pick it up and feel like, oh, okay, this is a new game. I could get into this, or even fans of the original can be like, oh, this feels familiar to me. I hope they appease to both audiences, because I feel like the
problem
franchise
is
deserves it.
I'd probably play it and then go up to the sequel and think, this is rubbish. What was all the fuss about? Because it's an old game, not up to today's standards.
If the second one's popular enough, then they'll remaster the original one like they did with Dishonored. So not they, but it's a different company. But that's how Dishonored was handled anyway.
Talk about Star Wars Battlefront, actually, because I know that was a main game of interest from the EA conference.
That was the game of interest from EA, if I'm honest.
From me as well.
Because they gave Anthem to Xbox to reveal there. So from that point of view, the only other thing which was particularly interesting they gave away to another show, and obviously, as I said earlier, Battlefront heavily PlayStation. With all the trailers and stuff on stage, you could see the PlayStation stuff beforehand and all this sort of stuff. And I find it so interesting how they have to toe that line between, particularly those two heavyweights, to keep everyone happy. But in terms of the game, I mean, I've obviously not had hands-on time with it, but compared to the first one in terms of what they've changed between the two, I'm definitely on board, particularly the hero system changing. That you get battle points now for doing objectives, kills, etc., and then you spend those battle points on unlocking a hero for a bit. Much fairer than people camping a a tiny icon that's somewhere on the map, normally really, really close to the spawn point at the beginning. Makes a lot more sense.
I like that they're building on their. I like that they're sort of reworking and building upon the system that they already originally had, and sort of making enhancements on it. I mean, they're offering free DLC as well for players, which I think is a really nice incentive.
And I think they've listened a lot to the
Yeah.
people the community behind the first game, because I didn't post or anything on there, but I did spend a lot of time browsing through their forums because there didn't seem to be many people actually playing Battlefront. So it was cool seeing some other people discussing it. And the development team there would interact with them at some point and drop hints about what people might want as new features in the game. So I think it's good to see that they are listening and that it's going to be a much better game because of it. I'm really excited for this one. Everything I've seen so far it looks really cool. I'm very happy with it.
Yeah. Rob, are you a Star Wars Battlefront player or?
Only because I've got an EA Access account. Otherwise, honestly, I don't think I would bother with it.
You seem like a tough man to please.
I'm not fussed. Well, no, you say that.
Just give him Zelda.
I will definitely be playing Far Cry 5 just because 3 and 4 were such good fun. So yes, they're formulaic, but they are bloody good fun. So sometimes, that wins the day, doesn't it?
I felt like Far Cry 5 bait and switched me, because that trailer started off. That gameplay section that they showed started off being gameplay, and then it went off into a montage video, and I was like, this is no longer real. But I did like what I saw.
It does sound fun. I read a preview piece the other day, and it sounds like it's going to be absolute chaos, just constant chaos, basically, just everything, just exploding, shooting, flying, everything. Sounds fun.
I was about to just thinking about how politically based it is as well. This could be a whole other podcast. But what do you just roughly, what do you think about games, particularly Far Cry 5, going into the sort of politically...
I don't know how real. I think a lot of that is media, people being like, they're doing that, or they went there, or, I don't think it's the same as any other antagonists in games. There might be one charismatic character, particularly Far Cry, one charismatic character and a load of faceless goons. It's not going to matter at all.
You just need one guy shouting hate and a reason for you to be shooting them in the face. That's it, really. That's it. I think that's all they need as far as politics goes in these games.
Absolutely. Just some kind of slightly mad dictator type character, either wearing a pinkish suit or with a Mohican. That'll do, won't it?
Slightly mad than the player to justify your murder streaks.
So going back to Star Wars Battlefront quickly, Chris, are you a Star Wars fan at all?
Yeah, I played a little bit of the first Battlefront, but it seems they really have listened and they've done everything right. Yeah. The campaign, especially, I think that's really what the first one was missing, a proper single-player campaign.
I'm glad they're going Imperial as well. I've seen the Rebels far too much. I want to see the bad guy side.
Yeah, and covering the whole history of Star Wars, right from the prequels up to the later ones. It should be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Some good fan
It does look like they're not going to bother with, because I saw a lot of debate going on about whether it should be anyone can play anything in any setting. So you could play the new trilogy on like a prequel trilogy map, so like a First Order trooper on Naboo or whatever. But it looks like they're going to keep it separate, as in everything in its own little ecosystem, prequel, original, and then sequel trilogy. But then I did see that, I swear I saw it. It was Rey fighting Darth Maul at one point in a gameplay, and that looked very weird. It didn't look right at all. I mean, kind of cool, but I'm one of those people where I think it would be. I quite prefer it to be everything in its right place, proper. So only prequel stuff there, only sequel stuff there on the right maps. Yeah.
So, Admit it. Who's excited for another Assassin's Creed game? Come on, let me hear it. Let me hear your cheers. Come on.
It's very
Excited.
sunny.
It does look very sunny.
I
honest-
might give this one a go. I've only ever really had a stab at Brotherhood, and that was all right. But
I
this one
enjoyed
sounds kinda
Syndicate. I enjoyed Syndicate a lot, and I'd not really played any of the series before. I'd played a tiny bit of 2 because I gave it away on Games with Gold years ago. But I'm not particularly fussed by this one, if I'm honest. I think the general oldie worldy London town vibe of Syndicate is what got me on board. So indeed, so I'm not that fussed. I'm actually more interested to play the Mario and Rabbids game because that sounds like it'll be fun.
Mario does XCOM. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah,
We can talk
pretty
about
much.
Nintendo for a little bit. We've got resident experts in the house. I know that Liam, you've got a Nintendo Switch now. From
I
what
do.
hear as well.
I've had one,
You do,
yeah,
I have,
for
yes.
just over a month. Yeah.
How are you finding it?
I'm really enjoying it to the point where I'm actually just sort of neglecting my Xbox a bit because Zelda's just so much fun. I just like go back to the other games and it's like, no, this isn't Zelda. I need to go play Zelda.
Get like Zelda withdrawal symptom. Like I gotta play this game. I gotta play again.
And yeah,
That really
it's very cool.
is Nintendo's like secret ingredient. You know that exactly that feeling that Liam's just described just there. That's what makes them as a company so endearing after years and years, and even from my point of view, have been away properly for a number of years before coming back to them, if you like. The fact that they can still find those experiences is what makes them such a unique company. I think that they're a real positive force in the industry as a result.
Well, I was quite surprised by that. I've actually since the E3 I've pre-ordered a 2DS XL because I've only had the original 3DS and it was just all sorts of wrong. It was too small. The screen was floppy. It's just a bit of a mess. And I never got
Floppy.
Yeah, it's like when you hold it, it would just sort of like it wouldn't lock like on the new XL ones. It's sort of just so if you're sitting forward, it's fine, but if you're lying down, like trying to play in bed, it would just sort of fall at weird angles. But yeah, I was waiting to upgrade, and then they kept releasing new models, so I didn't trust them to buy one because they'd release another one as soon as I did finally buy one. But yeah, the 2DS XL seems to be perfect for me. I wasn't interested in 3D anyway, really, so that's cool. And the fact that they're still going to release games for it makes me think it's a worthwhile investment. I mean, it's only £150, so it sounds pretty good with that library of games. And there's a game out tomorrow, I think, the Oasis one or something. A little open world game that looks quite fun. I've forgotten the name of it. And then, yeah, of course, the new Metroid as well, Samus Returns, looked very cool. I think that was pretty much what did it for me, made me pre-order.
I say there's just been another Fire Emblem as well, hasn't there? Came out, was it a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah.
So they're cracking games, those. on
Yeah,
the
and they said they're
3DS.
going to keep supporting the system well into next year, so it seems like a good time to jump
They've
in.
got a good list of lineups coming. So I think there's a bright future ahead for Nintendo. I think they're in the right direction. James, do you want to talk about the conference a little bit more in specifics?
It was a short one. I mean, we heard just before E3 that there were a few announcements, such as the Pokken Tournament announcement coming to the Switch, and much to many fans' dismay, because they were hoping for a fully fledged Pokemon title to come and be suddenly announced and magically there. But in the actual E3 presentation, they did cut away to Game Freak and had a little line from one of the guys there saying, "Oh yeah, by the way, we are working on a proper Pokemon title for the Switch." So not that will obviously just fuel more speculation for the next couple of years or so, but it's nice at least that they've kind of acknowledged it. In terms of the presentation itself, I mean, there were a lot of, in true Nintendo fashion, there was a lot of kind of big concepts that Reggie was going on about, like the fact that conflict and competitiveness is kind of key to making games fun, that sort of thing. It's always a struggle. It's always a battle between you and the AI or whatever it might be, or you and the next puzzle. And it was kind of fundamentally quite typically Nintendo and odd, but it
Just
was
how we
nice
like
to
it.
get a few. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it was nice to get a few different little nuggets out of the just such a short time. I mean, we had more on from Mario Odyssey, and I think that's really for a lot of people what is the next big thing.
Not
I'm
Possessed.
loving that.
They've
No,
come out
not
and squashed
Possessed.
that. They said it's
Well,
captured,
no, they've
which
said
sounds
that
much
he's.
better.
They said no. They said that Mario doesn't possess people when he uses the hat on them, but it is a ghost. It's definitely a ghost hat.
Yeah,
It's a
they
ghost
probably
hat.
wanted to keep it a PG rating or something, or universal rating.
Yeah, it's better
Well,
than nothing, I guess.
They did drop in some of their theme tune, well, like the loading theme from the original game, Metroid Prime theme.
Oh,
And
you're right.
that got me. That got some real nostalgia going for me.
How could
That's
I
what worked
forget?
on me.
Yeah,
That's the thing I took away from that brief trailer thing.
I confess, actually, it's Metroid Prime is one of the games that I've actually managed to complete on that very short list of games. So, it has my attention for sure. Yoshi and Kirby are both back, and they both got tentatively titled new games coming out. They both look quite similar. I mean, that might just be me. And yeah, we saw a bit more of Xenoblade 2 and Fire Emblem Warriors, which is looking crazy because it's Dynasty Warriors / Fire Emblem, which is always quite. It looks really. I think it's one of those things where it just looks weird from the outside. And finally, they talked about the Zelda DLC, which we already knew about the first pack and the hard mode, etc., etc. But they've detailed they detailed pack 2 and talked about the Champions Ballad very briefly. No real details, but I think I'm suspecting that we're going to spend some time controlling the legends, the legendary champions in their own little mini things. I don't know what that might be, but I can definitely see that happening.
I've heard of Mario. That's about as far as I can go. I thought Mario Odyssey looked really good, actually. Well, that and Zelda kind of makes us want to buy a Switch, but I'm just not sure on the control scheme and the portable. I think I'll stick with Xbox for now.
It's really good as a home console though as well. I mean, that's probably where you're going to get the most use out of it. Because it is nice just being able to take it out and go wherever with it. But to really appreciate how good Zelda looks, you got to play it on a TV to get the full experience, I think. And
I've done a couple of demos on it, and it looks awesome.
Yeah, and even the Joy-Con thing in the little cradle, it's a comfortable controller like that. I don't have a problem with that as it is. I don't feel like the need to go and get a pro controller. I like how it is. It's quite cool.
Yeah. I was expecting it to be quite unfamiliar when you take the Joy-Cons off of the actual Switch itself. I thought it'd feel quite foreign and unfamiliar, but it actually felt really natural just to hold them.
I found it weird at first.
Yeah.
I tried playing tabletop mode. Well, I tried playing tabletop mode the other day, and I didn't really know what to do with my arms, and I just sort of ended up having them either side of like just in front of the Switch. Like I was like begging the Switch, like, please play more games. It's just a very weird way to sit while trying to play. Yeah.
I'm quite stubbornly married to the Pro controller, I have to say. Although when we were playing ARMS the other week on the demo, I definitely the Joy-Cons benefits and the technology crammed inside those tiny things was definitely apparent. I think the trouble is for me it's just the buttons are too small to the A button, B button, etc. too small to use long term. I think that's why the Pro controller was for me. But
I will say that there is one thing they did, I think, last week with that update, and it's where you can find your Joy-Cons with the actual Switch tablet thing. By pressing a button, they vibrate, so you can find them. And I was playing with that the other day, just moving them around the flat and just pressing the button and listening for them and trying to find them in my own little game. It's like a mini game all by itself.
That will be a mini game in something.
Yeah,
for sure.
There you go.
Won't it, at some point?
It's going to be a WarioWare mini game, yeah, or a Mario Party.
1, 2, 3 Switch.
Like hide
minus the
hide
one.
the Joy-Con. Someone's got to find it.
Cool. Yeah, Rob, is there anything from the Nintendo conference that stood out for you particularly? Or...
What I thought it was really nice is that it was 30 minutes. Like, really just short and sweet. This is what we've got. These are the things we've got coming. We haven't got anything to show you, but we're going to tell you. By Jove, we're going to tell you that they're coming. And obviously, the obvious one is Metroid Prime 4. And to see what that world will look like in HD is making me intrigued a lot more than I was to actually maybe think about getting a Switch eventually. But I am with James. The buttons are way too small, especially the triggers. So I'd have to have a Pro controller as well. And then the price goes up again, unfortunately. But Mario Odyssey looks nice, looks fun, looks like Sonic Adventure. Not a bad thing. They're always good fun.
Quite right
games.
too. We've got our eye on you.
3D World was great on the Wii U, and again for me at the moment it's just everything kind of is stuff that's been on the Wii U. So there's literally no point in me getting one yet. But with what they've got in the future, definitely it's a possibility.
Certainly by this time next year, definitely you'll be itching or ever more. I think.
Yeah. I mean, there's what, Splatoon 2 next month as well.
Yeah, they were quiet. They were quiet about that, but yeah, there is. I mean, I think that will be interesting. As again, played a bit of the demo, didn't play the first game, and I'm kind of intrigued to see how much longevity it's got, because I'm not sure how varied it's going to be in terms of the experience. But I'm going to give it a go, despite weird online Nintendo-isms aside.
Honestly, the first game was amazing. The first game was amazing.
Wasn't it the best multiplayer game or something at the Game Awards?
Yeah.
Right.
Something like
that. It's quite impressive for a Nintendo game, really.
It was
Considering.
really good. It was very. I mean, it could have done with more modes, but then I thought it had more than Overwatch did in terms of modes, and everyone went batty for that. So I don't know. And the single player was really good as well. It was only about 6-7 hours, but that was really good fun and kind of classic Nintendo as well. So, if I were to review, I'd be picking up Splatoon 2.
I'm going to keep an eye on it. I think it might be the next game I get for the Switch. Well, I suppose it's the next one coming. But that's it.
Got all these games to look forward to. They've got a really strong lineup. Has anybody got anything else? Any highlights from this year's conference that they want to talk about?
I think I was happiest with what I saw from Nintendo and of Battlefront 2. That was pretty much it for me. And Spider-Man was a nice surprise as well. I was wasn't really paying that much attention to it before because I knew it was a PlayStation exclusive and I thought I might not get the chance to play it. But yeah, that was a nice surprise and it's got me tempted.
I thought that Wolfenstein 2 looked pretty nice, not having played the first one or the follow-up one.
Yeah, it was. It was weird watching that. I thought it might have been some Fallout thing at first, till the trailer come together. That looked interesting.
Cool. So, okay, I think we'll wrap things up there then. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. This is actually my last podcast here at PTC. Yeah, I just wanna say a big thank you to James and the team for letting me be part of such an awesome community and to work with such charming chaps and let me host these podcasts. And we hope you enjoy them because I've personally enjoyed making them, and I hope you can continue to enjoy them. James and myself are still doing our weekly Let's Play, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, until then, we'll see you guys next time. It's a bye from me, and it's a bye from James, Chris, Rob, and Liam.
This counting is not going to work.
Wait, 1, 2, 3, go, or on 3?
How about I'll leave just spontaneous. Who knows?
Yeah, just say go. I'll be ready.
Okay, go.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Jim Taroo.
Okay,
Get out.
that's not gonna work. Let's do 3, 2, 1, right? Ready?
3, 2, 1, go. Okay.
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Arrivederci.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Toodaloo.